For most of the time that we've lived here, it's been both my honor and my privilege to share a few thoughts with our community at a couple of the cemeteries around Lake Newbagaman and over in Highland. I think that it's an honor because I've been asked to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And that too is an incredible privilege. If one ever comes over to my house, what he or she would see immediately is that there are a great many of things hanging up on the walls at our house. Whether it's a picture of our children or crosses of various shapes and sizes, photos of people, or more especially, if one really looks, there's a great deal of artwork that hangs here at our home. Almost all of that artwork was done by a single artist. His name was Gary Kieselberg. Gary Kieselberg was my mother's brother, and he died in the rice paddies of Vietnam 50 years ago this month. Now, he's never been far from us, but nevertheless, these reminders of a life shortened by the giving of the ultimate sacrifice is a reminder to me and to my children every single day that the price of freedom isn't free. This picture hangs in the living room at the home where my family and I live. Before it hung here, it hung in what had been my uncle's bedroom at my grandparents' home. This is different than any of the other paintings that Gary did for a couple of reasons. The first is that this is an oil painting. His medium was watercolors, and all of the other paintings that I have that he did are in that medium. The other difference with this particular painting is that it's unfinished. You can see if you look closely at it that the ducks have no eyes, that the feet are either missing or not colored. The beaks lack any color as well, and there are small details throughout that quite simply are missing from this painting. There's a reason for that. My grandmother told me that this particular painting was the one that he was working on when he left for the service. And my grandmother said to my uncle, "Would you finish that before you go?" And he said, "Mom, I'll finish it when I come home." He never came home, and this painting was never finished. It hangs in the living room of my house as a reminder that for Gary Kieselberg and any other number of men and women who completed the act of the supreme sacrifice for our nation, left behind a life that was unfinished. My grandmother had this framed, and at the framing place they offered to finish the painting for her. She refused, and so it remains 50 years on, exactly in the same condition he left it. For many of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen, the legacy of a life unfinished is a constant and not so gentle reminder of the fact that freedom is not free. And it reminds us, day in and day out, that the sacrifice of these young lives have left a hole, but they've also left something else. They've left a legacy of sacrifice, of service, of giving of oneself in a cause that is bigger than just one. And at the same time, these families who mourn still have a place at the table that may sit vacant. have a missing member in their family photographs. And quite frankly, also have a picture that's not quite finished. And yet, at this Memorial Day, we honor their memory. We pick up where they left off. And we strive again and again to live in a country and in a world that is worthy of their sacrifice. Happy Memorial Day.